What? This is a new segment. It's Ask Pelvis a Question. I put it out there that I would answer anything from sex to 7-Up. And Paul Robert Thomas. Now, I can count on this guy for a lot of different things, but I never thought I'd count on him and ask me a question, but here it is. Now, if you're not familiar with Paul Robert Thomas, he's got this album here. It's Belief, and he's got a new song out, We Were the Young Ones. It's on YouTube. It's all around, and there'll be a link down below. Go down there and check it out. And here's Paul Robert Thomas's Reverb Nation site, but here he is. He's going to ask Pelvis a question now. Listen to this question.
Good morning, Pelvis. I've got a question for you, since you asked that we can send questions. You mentioned that you met Ronnie Wood. Can you tell us all the famous people you have met? You must have met a lot during your lifetime. Okay, so run through the list. And thanks so much for all the great work you do, for all the promotion for artists, for me, and for everyone. So, a list of all the famous people that you've met. Cheers.
The question was, how many famous people have I run across in my life? Well, I was surprised when I started putting the list together because I don't think about it. It's just, it's just in the circles I was running in and circles I ran in. They were, I ran across it quite a bit, but I didn't realize how much, until I started writing them down. And now some of these, I'll have a story for you. Some of them are just backstage at a video shoot or something like that, or backstage at one of the concerts. But I was within touching distance of them. Okay, I wasn't like I was a football field away from them and go, hey, I know who that guy is. No, I had close contact with all these people I'm going to tell you about, and some of them closer than, some of them too close. But we'll go through this list, and if there's a story, I'll tell you the story. If there's not, I'll just give you the name, okay? And the first one on the list is Patsy Cline. Now, my mom and dad had a bar room and restaurant back in Charlestown, West Virginia. And that's Patsy Cline was from around that area. And I tried to Google this guy's name, but my mom and dad were good friends with a guy by the name of Tump Webb, and Tump had something to do with Patsy Cline. But my memory of Patsy Cline is I had an aunt that had a house down on the river. And I was down there on this dock, this little wooden dock, and about, I don't know, maybe 20 feet away from me, there was Patsy Cline laying on this wooden dock, sunbathing. I just had a bathing suit on. She was out there soaking up some sun. And I was in the 7th grade then. Okay, so that's like I say, I saw her, I still have that picture in my head of that woman laying out there, and it's a shame about that plane crash taking her. She's a great talent. All right, and next, everybody knows Ronnie Wood. I've been to Ronnie's house and laughed and joked and smoked and toked and did all that with Ronnie, and we won't go into too much detail, but close encounter of the third kind there. And then Jack Ford. Now, Jack Ford is the son of President Ford. And when I met Jack, his father was president. Now, believe it or not, this was, God, when was this? This was early 80s. That'd be 82, 83, 84, somewhere around there. It was before I went to Hong Kong. And I took these 5 girls to a party, a Halloween party. And Sherry, one of the girls, was dressed up like a Playboy bunny. And Jack came over to me and he introduced himself to me. We shook hands and he says, "Is that your girlfriend?" I said, "Shit, Jack, they're all my girlfriend." I said, what you got in mind, brother? And he says, "I'd like to meet her." And I called her over and introduced them. They coupled up for a while. And Jack used to come over to the house, and I won't go into too much detail there either, but if his daddy could have gotten impeached over what was going on. Anyhow, Margot Kidder, she played Lois Lane in the Superman movie. And I was staying at this house up in Malibu. And she lived, it was, I can't think of the name of the place, but it was like a little community. And she had a house right across this small street, like an alleyway. And she had a 3-legged dog. And I'd get my coffee, and in the morning I'd go out there and I'd walk around, and there she was, and we'd walk that 3-legged dog around. It's a nice lady, and a really nice lady. And Jimmy Welsh. Now, you probably don't know that name, but I think this man, there should be, I want to call it the First Timers Hall of Fame. Now, Jimmy Welsh showed up at my house at a party one night, and he was with Mason Gordon, and he wrote that song, Classical Gas. And I met him for the first time that night. I think he's further on down the list here. But I think I couldn't let go of this guy's hand when I was shaking it, because I know where those hands had been. Okay, and he kept trying to tug his hand away from me, and I kept holding on to that hand because he was married to Raquel Welch right out of high school. So he was with that when they were in high school. And there's got to be a First Timers Hall of Fame. Now this guy, I mean, he probably cries himself to sleep every night after that, but oh my Lord, I just couldn't let go of the man's hand, knowing what they'd been and what they'd had done. Oh, shut up, Pelvis. Okay, let's get on with the list. Rosie Hamlin. Rosie Hamlin, when I was a senior in high school, had a hit record called Angel Baby. And my senior year, she transferred into Mission Bay High School. And so I got to know Rosie Hamlin, okay? And Barry Weiss from Storage Wars. Now, Barry is a funny man. I've had some experiences with him both in LA and around, and he's quite the motorcycle freak. He loves his Harley Davidsons, and a friend of mine had this Harley Davidson rental place up in LA, and I met Barry through there, and then I did a few things with him and for him, and then I was out in Palm Springs, and I got this dog, and it was a Basset Hound. I called him Biggie, and I got him from the shelter. And Biggie was an old dog, and I just I didn't want him to die in that shelter, so I adopted him so he could have a home. And they gave me this leash. Now, I don't know about this stuff, I don't care about it. That's why I don't know. But I was walking Biggie, and they had given me this leash it was a rainbow leash. Okay, and I had no idea what the rainbow meant, and I don't care what the rainbow meant. But I'm walking, and I hear this Harley Davidson come down the road, and all of a sudden, it comes up and pulls the stop, and there's Barry Weiss on his motorcycle, and he said, "Are you gay?" I said, "Well, no." "Why you ask?" He says, "Is the dog gay?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I just got him." He said, "Well, have to figure that one out." I said, "Why are you asking me this, Barry?" He said, "Where'd you get that leash?" I said, "Well, they gave it to me." He said, "Give me that leash. You're in Palm Springs." He said, "Oh." So that's how I learned about the Rainbow Coalition from my buddy Barry Weiss. And anyhow, I want to send something out to him. He was in a pretty bad motorcycle accident. A woman backed up in the parking lot and hit him, ran over him, and messed him up pretty bad. Now, if you're watching, Barry, I wish you all the luck in the world, buddy. I hope last time I talked to you, you were in pain, and I hope that's gone away and subsided a little bit. All right, so let's get back to this. Janis Joplin was backstage at the concert. This was in San Diego, at the sports arena in San Diego, and she had the Hells Angels there as bodyguards, and what a mess that turned out to be. And that girl up there, she had, I think it was a bottle of Jack that she drank. She up there drinking out of that bottle. And I mean, by the end of that concert, that girl was a chocolate mess, man. She was just a shame, just an absolute shame. Anyhow, okay, Jimi Hendrix. I was with a friend of mine. We were backstage setting things up for him, doing this and that and doing that. And this was, oh God, this was, when was this? This was late 60s. And I was a young buck. And I was more like a grip or something, you know, and I guess you could call it. And Jimmy shows up and he gets out there and puts his guitar on. He starts through this song. And then he must have remembered he left the stash back at the hotel because he said, took the guitar off and walked off stage. And that was the end of the concert. Half a song. Thank you, Jimmy. Okay, Bob Marley, same thing. I was working that one too. I was working backstage with Bob, you know, get to hang out with him afterwards and all that. Hell of a nice guy. And Ronnie Lane, oh, Ronnie boy, shame about him. Like I told you, he came down with MS, and you know, the poor boy died. He was the founder of Small Faces and Faces. Great guy, nice guy. Oh, and the Lone Ranger. I told you my Lone Ranger story. And Clayton Moore. All right, now here's one. Pierce Brosnan. Now, Pierce Brosnan played James Bond, 007. And when I ran into him in Hong Kong, I was at the Mandarin Hotel having high tea. You know, having tea at the Mandarin Hotel, and Pierce Brosnan walked in. And I just happened to be dating an ex-girlfriend of his. And I'm not going to tell you who this girl is. She was famous on her own because that girl's probably somebody's grandmother now. And I was with her for 5 years, and you know, there's no sense in digging that up or me dropping her name. But I went up and introduced myself to Pierce. And I guess he had heard about me or whatever, but seemed to know who I was. And, you know, and I said, any tips for an old guy? And he goes, no, you can figure it out on your own. But anyhow, so he was there. He was filming a movie called Taipan. I think it was the name of that one. And so that's Pierce Brosnan. Karen Calsell, she was in the Castles, the family thing. I was working with her in a studio in L.A. one night. Penny Marshall, Laverne and Shirley. I was at a place called Two Bunch Bombs. This James, the guy I was in Hong Kong with, we were out rolling, man. Him and I went to lunch, and we were gone for 9 months. Him and I went for what we called a 9-month lunch, and I could write a book just on those 9 months of my life. But we were out there, and I mean, it was rolling, man. I mean, it was heavy duty rolling, and it was going on for days. And we had this motorhome. We had the nice casitas out there, nice places to stay, but the party was always going from one place to another. And I thought, I got to go lay down. I got to get out of this for a little while. So I went out in the motorhome to crash. Well, I'm laying out there, and Penny comes in, and she goes, Pelvis. I said, what? And she said, you got to come in. She says, I think James is dead. I said, what do you mean you think James? She said, he's laying on the bathroom floor, and his pants are down around his ankles, and he's got toilet paper stuck to his hip, and he's white. I said, damn, Penny. I said, he's English. You're all that color. She says, no. She says, you got to come in and check and make sure. So I got up, and we went in there, and I walked in, and there he is, just like she described. He's laying on the bathroom floor. And I got down on my knees, and I said, James, brother, you okay? And he goes, is she here? Where is she? I said, who? He goes, Penny. And I said, she's standing right here. He said, tell her to get out of here. I said, Penny wants you to leave. You mind leaving? So she left. I said, I said, what's going on, buddy? He goes, I'm laying here, I'm dying. I swear to God, I'm dying. And she came in and she kicked me to see if I'd move. And then she stepped over me and sat down and pissed. I said, well, what can you say about that? So that's my deal with Benny Marshall. And Jan Michael Vincent, oh, Janny boy, oh my God, oh my God. Now, like I say, Pelvis was a roller in those days. I used to get way out there with everything. I like my vices, let's say. But this guy scared me, man. Yeah, this guy would get so far out there, it was frightening. Okay, and it did take his toll on the guy. Okay, Dave Mason. And if you don't know who Dave Mason is, look up the song Only You Know and I Know. And it's a big hit of his. And another thing, that was out in Palm Springs too. And I don't want to say too much about the boy, but he's a maniac, or he was. All right. He was living in the commune up there, and it wasn't a commune, it was a community up there in Malibu where Margaret, what the hell's her name? I can't even think of her name right now. Margot Kidder was living. He lived a couple doors down from there. But anyhow, David Letterman. I used to do some stand-up work at the comedy store in San Diego and Pacific Beach. He was the MC one night, and stand around and talk to him. This is way before he was on TV. And same thing with Robin Williams. The first time I saw Robin Williams is before he had Mork and Mindy and that stuff. He's a great guy. He's completely different off stage, man. He's a completely different dude. Tina Turner did it with Phil Rose, did a video shoot with her. Mason Williams, that's what I was thinking about. He came to the party with Jimmy Welsh. He wrote that song, Classical Gas. Bobby Womack, oh my God. He actually wrote the Stones' biggest hit, first hit here in the United States. I used to love her, but it's all over now. I wrote a song comparable to that. I used to kiss her on the lips, but I kiss her all over now. Yeah, but they never went anywhere. But I was more friends. The way I met Bobby was through his brother. He had a brother named Friendly Womack. Okay, and Friendly, he was something else. He played guitar and he'd grunt all the time. He'd go, hey, come on, bring it up, hey. He'd grunt at you and talk to you and push on you. Say, come on, bring it up, come on. Great guy. Harry Nielsen. Everybody's talking at me. Theme from Midnight Cowboy. I won't even go there. I'd take a whole show to tell you what happened with us and Harry Nielsen. I was on that 9-month lunch too. And if you want, write to me and ask me, and I'll tell you the story about Harry Nielsen. I'll tell you what. Just look up the word debauchery in the dictionary, and they probably have a video clip of it in there. Lawrence Tierney. Now he was Elaine's father in a segment of Seinfeld, and he was also one of the characters in Reservoir Dogs. Now, a friend of mine and I were in Abbott's Habit on Abbott Kinney in L.A., and he comes in there, and he walks up there. There was 4 chairs at the table we were sitting at, and there were only 2 of us. And he pulls a chair. He says, "I gotta sit down. My legs are killing me." And he's a rough, tough guy. He got fired from one of his productions. He getting paid good money. He got in a fight with the actual fist fight with the director, and they threw his ass out. So he's a rough, tough guy, and he says, "Oh, my legs." He says, "Oh, I get the feeling in my legs." And I said, and I just said off the top of my head, "What, you have phlebitis?" And he didn't hear me. But he heard something. He go, "What?" And he looked at my friend and he goes, "Is it phlebitis?" He went off on my poor friend like, "What the hell are you talking? What do you mean by that?" No, settle down, settle down. All right. And Alan Jackson. Now, this, my wife, she contested this one. Now, you tell me. I had this rehearsal studio out in the valley up in L.A. And one day, I had some people in there, and I went out to get some lunch. And right around the corner, there was a Subway sandwich shop. Now, I walked in there, and I ordered my Subway sandwich, got it, and I sat down. And I'm sitting at a booth. Alan Jackson walks in, goes through the same process I did. He sat 2 booths away from me, looking at me, you know? And I went, and he went, with that big cowboy hat he always wears. Now, if that ain't having lunch with Alan Jackson, I'll eat that hat he had on his head. My wife says, no, you didn't have lunch with him. We were both eating. We were both in the same restaurant. We were having lunch together. All right, who else here? John Lee Hooker. I told you the story about John Lee Hooker. His kid bought a car from me, and I got to meet John Lee. I actually put that big puffy hand of his in mine, and so I'm proud of that. Okay, Dolph Lundgren. Now, if you don't know who that is, I think it's Rocky IV. He's the big Russian guy in that movie that beat up Rocky in that movie. I mean, big, good-looking guy, son of a gun. Hell of a looking guy. This girl I was telling you about, Pierce's old girlfriend, my girlfriend, 5 years, we were up on Sunset Boulevard in a restaurant. And I'm sitting looking this way, and she's sitting there looking that way, and we're having our dinner. And I look up, and I see her shying away, and I didn't pay too much attention to it. And then I look up again, she's shying away again. And I said, baby, what's going on? You got somebody hitting on you? And she goes, yeah. I said, and Pelvis ain't a fighter, but I just said jokingly, this is what I said. Baby, you point him out and I'll go kick his ass. She says, it's a guy at the counter up there. And I turned around and it was him. It was him. It was that big Russian. I said, oh, baby. I said, that's a good looking son of a gun. If I were you, I'd go over there and at least talk to the man. I said, but don't piss him off, okay? So that's that. Okay, we're getting near the end of the list here. All right. Gary Puckett. Gary Puckett, I just turned 21. Gary Puckett, when he had him and a guy band named Bobby Brown, who played bass, and I don't know who the drummer was. I can't remember his name. But they had a 3-piece band. They were like ZZ Top, man. These 3 guys could put out some music. Gary Puckett was a hell of a singer. Play the Hammond organ. He'd play the organ and guitar, and Bobby Brown playing the bass and this drummer. I mean, these guys put out some music. And then one night, I went up there, and the whole stage is full of these soldiers, from I don't know whether, I can't remember, blue or gray, what the hell side they were on, but it was Gary Puckett and Union Gap. I saw it the night it was formed. Okay, and then the rest is history, it's just, at Regis Philbin, I met Regis Philbin when I was still in high school, and here's a guy that was destined to be famous, because I was in a furniture store, and Regis Philbin was in there buying something, and I'm a kid. I'm just a kid. And he comes up and goes, hi, I'm Regis Philbin. I mean, that man introduced himself to everybody. And it's like I tell you people, you got to make sure that somebody hears your name every day. If you want to get ahead in life, make sure somebody hears your name every day. And that's what that man did. He introduced himself to the devil. He didn't care. He knew where he wanted to go, and that's the plan he took, and he did it. All right? And Michael Hutchinson, In Excess, the boy that committed suicide in Australia. I met him in Hong Kong in a club called 1997. Nice kid, nice guy. I was there, in '85, and he just, it broke my heart when I heard that one that he did that. But anyhow, it's just the way it goes sometimes. And all right, now I'm going to educate you boys on something. If you're ever in a store or something like that and you're looking for your wife, your girlfriend, or whomever, it's just wife or girlfriend, and you can't find them, find a pretty girl and go just stand by her. And I'll be damned if they don't show up. And that's what happened to me here. I'm at this place, and this is where all this stuff took place with Penny Marshall and all. There's a place called Two Bunch Palms. It used to be owned by Al Capone. Al Capone owned it, and then he lost it through tax evasion and some kind. So it was in probate for a long time. And the sad story about that is that there was a guy by the name of Bob Beaumont got a hold of that place and brought it back to life. And Bobby liked his narcotics too much, and Jan Michael Benson was walking wounded in the war on drugs, and Bob Beaumont, he was DOA. He didn't make it out of the 80s, man. It was a sad situation. Man had so much going for himself. He had that place. He had a casino up in Reno, all that, and just no one knows where the nose goes when the door goes closed. You know what they say. Well, anyhow, getting back to this, the last one, next to the last one on my list, Allie McGraw. I was waiting to go in and get a massage. So the only thing I had on was a bathrobe, and I'm sitting in this lobby, and Allie McGraw walks in, and the only thing she had on, I suspect, because she was going in for the same thing I was, a massage, was a bathrobe. Now she's sitting there, and we're talking, and I mean, she was seductive as hell. I mean, and maybe it was all in my damn head, I'm just, I'm looking at her and the legs and the bell, and they just, you know how men are. We're dogs. We're two-legged dogs. And I'm sitting there talking to this woman and admiring how beautiful she is, and my girlfriend walked in. Like I say, it'll happen to you every time. And I had to say something like, "You think I got a shot with Allie McGraw? Come on, girl, come on." But anyhow, okay, last one on the list. I'm not going to tell you his name. I'm going to show you this picture. Now, this guy here, you may not recognize his face, and you may not even recognize his name when I say it. But this guy here is the second best wide receiver in 1AA football since Jerry Rice. He holds records at Idaho State University that stand today. He's in the Hall of Fame up there. He even has records back as far back as high school. He got a 5-year scholarship to the university up there. He got out of there, played for the Houston Oilers, went up and played 2 years of Canadian football, BC Lions, and the Edmonton Eskimos. He started his college career. He was as a coach. He excelled at it, and he moved up rapidly. I mean, it took years, but it seemed like it was like this. But he was assistant head football coach at Washington State. Then he was assistant head football coach at Alabama. He was been all the major colleges he's been coaching at. He's now offensive coordinator at Oklahoma State. And this guy here, I use the word love a lot. I say, I love this guy. I like this guy. I love this guy so much. I am in love with this guy. I have been in love with this guy for years and years and years. I've held this guy in my arms. I've kissed him. I've cradled him. This is my son. This is Kasey Dunn. And I am so, so proud of this boy. This man came into my life when he was 6 weeks old. And as you all know, I have a 10-year-old daughter, and she's my first biological child. But this boy here is so full in my heart. That's all I can say about that. I just love this guy with every inch of my being. And I want you to look up his name, Kasey Dunn, Kasey Dunn. Look him up and read about him. He's a hell of a man. And I've always said about him, and this is the God's honest truth. You can ask him about it. I've always said about this guy, he is so good looking, so intelligent. I forgot them all. So good looking, so intelligent, and so talented, you'd think I was the biological father. You can take that to the bank.